Willie Armstrong is a founding member of the Red Hot Chilli Pipers, the most famous bagpipe band on the planet. And this week the band are embarking on their Spring 2022 tour across England. And Willie is on the phone with us just now. And where are you at the moment? Are you at home or are you out on the road yet?
No, that's me. I got home yesterday from I was in America for 2 months.
Wow.
So I got home yesterday and then I'm getting ready now to go back out on the road again on Thursday for the English tour.
Is it great to be back on the road again after these tough couple years?
Yeah, it's amazing. Obviously, everybody's been affected in different ways by the coronavirus pandemic, but I think the live musicians and the live audiences have really struggled because basically we just didn't work for 2 years almost.
Yeah, and going to America, it's quite incredible that bagpipes are so popular around the world because they're stereotypically a Scottish instrument, aren't they?
Yeah, you're right. I think the way we play bagpipes is a little bit different from the normal bagpipe setting. We play in a different key for a start, and also we have a singer and a vocalist, and we have a rock band with us, so it kind of crosses a lot of genres the way we do it, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah, and I suppose it's quite good to be more contemporary. I mean, you do a few traditional songs, but you don't want to just stick to that.
Yeah, I think if you just do traditional songs, as we all learned over the years as pipers, that goes down well if you're doing that for bagpipe aficionados, and if you go to all the Highland Games, all the pipe band competitions, as we all did when we were younger, of course you're going to absolutely nail it because people are only there to hear bagpipes, but for the general population, there's not very many bagpipe aficionados among them. So we found out earlier on in the career of the Chilli Pipers, the Red Hot Chilli Pipers, is we better, broaden our horizons a wee bit here and make the music more amenable and more broad, so that other audiences who are not particularly bagpipe aficionados will really appreciate that, and I think we've done that quite successfully.
Yeah. So of course this week you're embarking on the tour across much of England. What can fans expect on this tour? Again,
as we always say, it's not a gig, it's not a concert, it's a show. So we've got it's choreographed. All the guys in the band wear uniforms, black sporns, black kilts, red sporns. We also have an amazing lighting engineer coming along with us. We have a lone standalone lighting rig, and we also have the best PA with the best sound engineer. So we've taken care of him, and it's a treat not only to your eyes but to your ears. So hopefully the audiences, as we've done this over the years, the audiences have been growing and growing in both England, Scotland, all over Europe and America. So hopefully they'll enjoy it.
Yeah, and it must be quite an exciting thing to see because maybe compared to other things, there's maybe a louder and more exciting atmosphere.
Yeah, bagpipes are an instrument as well. Let's not forget they're a very emotive instrument. So you can have in one moment you can have the crowd up out their feet, on their feet, clapping and in time to the music and laughing and enjoying it, and then in the next moment you can have them sitting down and almost crying because of the emotive nature of the instrument. So it's it's good fun to construct the set list and taking all those elements into account, and that's not just happened overnight. That's happened over years and years. So it's a wee journey we take the crowd on from the very start all the way through to the end. They'll be up out their chairs, clapping along to the music and having a joyous evening.
And I take it you've had to do a lot of rehearsals, right?
Funny, that's a great question. No, not really. So before the pandemic, the band were that busy, over 200 gigs a year. You basically, if there's a new song to be learned, then we'll do that at sound checks. And then throughout the course of the tour, whatever gigs we're doing, we'll gradually introduce the new songs into the set. But to get the band into a recording studio or to get the band into rehearsing space after we've been so busy is now impossible because the guys need a break, they need to spend time with their families. But since the pandemic, we spent a lot of time because there was nothing else to do. There was no gigs, and we were last to come back because we blow. It's a mouth-blown instrument, so the Scottish government said nobody can play bagpipes or play trumpets or anything like that for obvious reasons. So we did go into the studio, but all to socially distance and all that, and that was quite good because that's the first time we'd need music for like 18 months. So we did rehearse and we did practice, and obviously we've been in America playing the set for the last 2 months, so it's as tight can be now, Toby.
Yeah, and that's interesting about the COVID thing. I never really thought of that. What is the logistics of bagpipes? Could your breath sort of get through and go in the audience?
Well, that's what the rules were. If you were doing a bagpipe practice in a pipe band, you would have maybe 20 musicians in a room, and you'd all be blowing into your instruments. So that, I mean, clearly that's just definitely going to. If there's anybody get a COVID pandemic, that's definitely going to spread it. So we were the last musicians to come back, the ones that blew their instruments by their mouth, because that's the best way of spreading it. But now obviously we're all back. We don't have to social distance anymore. And I think the pandemic's under control. Everybody's done their vaccinations, and we're all going on with it. Even in Scotland, I think we were the last to get rid of the masks. So it was that only now that's the first time I've been back for 2 months. I was down at the local Tesco this morning, and I was amazed. No masks, no social distancing. It was quite a liberating thing, I've got to say. So I'm glad it seems to have come to an end.
Yes, only last week, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So when did you get started as a piper?
Yeah, I'm 57, and I started when I was 7, so 50 years. You think I'd be good at it by now, eh?
Yeah.
Get the hang of it.
And what was it that actually made you want to pick it up?
Well, all my family were musicians. My dad played the piano, and he played the snare drum and a pipe band. My uncles, my grandfather, they were pipers, so I think it must be in my blood. Bagpipes are an incredibly difficult instrument to learn. In fact, I think there was a study last year that said they are actually the most difficult instrument to learn.
Wow.
So you have to have you need to be really into it before you start, because it's never so easy as quite a lot of musicians do. It drops off after a while because you can't bother with the practice, or you're not really that into it. But all the bagpipers that play for the band are all top grade musicians in their own right. So I think that there is something, and you can actually tell just by hearing them speaking how much they enjoy it and how much they're into it. And I don't think you could do it really, play that kind of instrument, if you weren't really right into it, and it was born and bred into you with your family. It's not something you just go, like a piano, you could flip the lid, and within 2 hours you'd be able to get some kind of a tune out of it. I'm not saying it's going to be a good tune, but you'd be able to get some kind of a tune out of it. Whereas that wouldn't happen with a set of bagpipes. It would take you years.
So I suppose you have to have a lot of dedication. A lot of people might just give up really early on. Yeah,
there's the drop-off. So the way you learn bagpipes, you start off in a thing called a practice chanter, which is just like a recorder, and that you learn all your rudiments, all your finger work on the practice chanter, and that'll maybe take a year, and then the instructor will say, right, okay, we're going to transition now, and we're going to go to a set of pipes. And when you go into a set of pipes, that's a whole different ball game, because you need to roll it steady, you need to tune all your drones, you need to there's all sorts of physical aspects to it. So that's when you get it's like falling off a cliff then. So you've got a class of 10 people, and they're all quite good. They're playing the practice chanter, and as soon as you introduce this other octopus, let's say, before you know it, you've got one left. and that's just the way it goes.
Yeah. So where did the idea come from to make an actual contemporary bagpipe band?
Yeah, so that's another good question, Toby. There's lots of bands, lots of rock bands out there that play bagpipes. So Dropkick Murphys, an incredibly successful rock band in America. We had one of their pipers playing for us when we were over there. So that's not new. That's not it's not a new genre being created there. We never ever say that. What we decided to do was trying to make it a mini pipe band. So that's why the three pipers. So we'll have a piper playing harmonies, a piper playing melodies, and counter harmonies. So the pipes, we always say, take the vocal part of the band, and then we'll have behind that a rock band, which again isn't new. That's not our idea, but certainly the pipe band snare, which we have in amongst it as well, is new. And now we learned very quickly when we started this that the drop off when it comes to people. Bagpipe aficionados, that's great, and even aficionados of traditional music, traditional Scottish music and Irish music, will stand there all day and listen. But that's not going to get you a massive audience. That's not going to get you to the mainstream. When we done the TV show in 2007, we decided to incorporate all styles of music, and I think it was a minute and a half we had, and we won it. So that was amazing. And then that led us to bigger audiences, and then we decided then that we would always listen to the audience. If the audience stopped clapping at any point, or the audience would actually go out after the show and say to the audience, what did you think? It was like feedback. So we took it very, very seriously, and I think that's probably one of the success stories of the band, and that we always listen to the audience. The audience have paid the money, and they've invested their time to come and hear the band. So as a group of professional musicians, if you don't take connivance with that and do what the audience are asking you to do, and basically you've got a duty of care, they come along and they spend 2.5 hours, 3 hours of their lives with you, and it's quite a responsibility. You must make sure that whatever the audience are doing, they're enjoying themselves, and they always ask them, have you enjoyed yourself tonight, and will you be back? And they always go, yeah, we'll be back. And it is quite enlightening to see that quite a lot of people you've seen year on year, they come back and they bring their friends. So I think that's one of the successes. We listen to the audience, we have feedback, and we always make sure that the music is not... I mean, some of the music I play is not on the stage, is not the music I would choose to listen to, but I know for a fact that's the music that the audience want to hear, so that's basically what I do. I play to the audience, I don't play to myself.
Yeah. And I suppose as well, you've got to make it look like you're enjoying yourself so that the audience enjoy themselves too. Is it hard to make it look like you're having a good time when you've got something up your mouth and you can't really smile?
But again, that's another great question. I've never been asked that before. We actually, we've got different mouthpieces for our bagpipes. So we can spit them out and we can, because it's one of the things I notice is it's really hard to smile and blow a set of bagpipes.
Yeah.
The only way you can do that and smile and you know, create your energy and give your energy back to the audience if you don't have the mouthpiece in. So I can quickly move my mouth to the left or the right. My mouthpiece will stay stationary where it is. In a normal set of bagpipes, that wouldn't happen because you're not, you wouldn't be, no chance would you take your mouthpiece out because you wouldn't be able to blow it then. But my mouthpiece is engineered so that it stays right in front of my face. And at any point I can take my mouth out. We talk to each other on stage while we're still blowing our pipes.
Wow.
So that's a great question. And we do enjoy ourselves. We thoroughly enjoy ourselves. But yeah, you're right. It's how can you laugh and smile and cajole the crowd when you've got a mouthpiece in your mouth? Yeah. Impossible, but we've engineered it so that we can still do that. Great question. I've never been asked that before, actually, Toby.
And of course, the Red Hot Chilli Pipers is a great name. Whose idea was that?
That was Stuart, one of the other original members of the band. He phoned me at 3 o'clock in the morning because the band had been going for about a year. We were doing corporate gigs and all that. And to be honest as well, we get asked this all the time. At no point did we ever think we would be playing, you know, huge festivals, Fuji Rock Festival in Japan, the Hyde Park, the Teen Park in Scotland, Hyde Park in London, all these big festivals. And there was no point, and there was never any thought process that we better watch. We might get mixed up with the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Yeah. What had happened was that Stuart had asked his girlfriend Jill at the time, listen to my favour, organise the CDs, put them in genre order. So one pile for traditional music and one pile for rock and pop. And she'd done that, and Stuart came in and later on and picked up a CD from the top of the traditional pile, and it was Red Hot Chili Peppers. And he said, "Why did you put that in there for, Jill? That should be in the other pile, the other genre." And she says, "Oh, I've misread it. I thought that said Red Hot Chili Pipers." So that's where the name came from. There's nothing clever. Obviously we're Scottish. It's tongue-in-cheek humour, but that was 20 years ago, and there was at no point. A lot of people say to me, "Oh, you're trying to rip off the Chili Peppers." No, I'm not. I mean, you can't get any further away musically from the Red Hot Chili Peppers and the Red Hot Chili Pipers for a start. And we play bagpipes. We never ever touch anything that Red Hot Chili Pipers would do. But and obviously in our advertising, we have to make sure that, especially in America, it's pictures of people playing bagpipes and all that. Yeah. Pipers is always emboldened, so it makes it. And then it's a picture of a piper, and then a picture of a pepper. Sometimes like a red hot pepper, just to make sure. But even at that, Toby, somebody flew to Ireland. We were playing in the arena in Belfast, and somebody flew there from England to go and see, and they thought they were going to see the Peppers. And I was, "Oh no, please, this is a lot of effort." But then they decided, "Oh well, we've made a wee mistake. We might as well go," and they thoroughly enjoyed it. In fact, they came back. They come back to
wow. And has there been any response from the Red Hot Chili Peppers?
Yeah, there was response only quite a few times. There was one that went viral 2 or 3 weeks ago. We were in a place called Williamsburg in America, and a woman took her daughter to see the Red Hot Chili Pipers, us, and it was in a place called Williamsburg Sellafield or something like that was called. But the ticket was like $25, $30. I mean, if you're going to see the Peppers for a start, you're not going to get a Peppers ticket for any less than $200. And also, you'd think you would check their Facebook page or wherever they go, their tour dates, but anyway, this woman decided she was coming along. She thought she was absolutely sure she was going to see the Peppers and not the Pipers. And she got there, it was us. So her daughter thought it was really funny. She put I think it was a TikTok up, and it went viral. And it was in all the TV channels. It was great for us, great for advertising anyway. And she took it really well. She's another one. She stayed and watched the concert. And one of the things she said was, "Oh, I've definitely back. These guys, they're killer musicians. Their musicianship's fantastic." But it got as far as the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and they were interviewed, and they said, "Yeah, we've heard this a few times. Let us sort this out." So they gave the woman and her daughter, it's turned out great, they gave her front row tickets for their show. They're playing in Chicago in October. So the woman and her daughter are going to see the Red Hot Chili Peppers for free in Chicago.
Wow, that's quite incredible. I've got to be honest, I think I'm of an age, and perhaps because I'm from Scotland as well, where I think I'd heard of the Red Hot Chili Pipers before I'd heard of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Yeah,
you used to get that a lot. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, people would say, "Oh, you're a musician, you play in a band. What band do you play in?" I used to keep saying, the Red Hot Chili Pipers, and they were like, all right, I've heard of them, Under the Bridge. And I said, no, you're thinking of the Peppers. And that's said, no, I didn't say that. I said Red Hot Chili Pipers. And then, right, okay, cool, and just walk away. But now, especially in Scotland, you say, you don't have to say Red Hot, you just say I'm playing the Chili Pipers. Oh, bagpipes, I love that.
And in the early days, were you ever a bit nervous that nobody would be interested in bagpipe music?
I think another great question. Toby, as a musician, you always go on stage, and I think that's one of the things that keeps you on your toes. And you don't know, you're only as good as your last gig. You don't know whether you're going to absolutely slam it or whether it's going to, I mean, it's never happened to me, thank goodness, touch wood. But from the minute you take the stage to the minute you pick up your instrument, basically, since you were a wee boy when I was 7 years old, practice, and then just keep at it 10 hours a day, sometimes more, keep practicing. And then one day I looked up and all these people were there in front of me. And never ever take that for granted. If you think that, you're going to go on stage and it's going to be a calamitous failure, I think you're only human. And if you go on stage thinking that every time you go in there you're going to be absolutely brilliant, I think you're maybe getting ideas above your station. So you always keep on the side of safety and make sure that whatever you're doing, you're presenting the best product you can to the audience standing in front of you. And if you forget to do that, and you maybe, I've seen a few bands that do it in music that's rife, they're full of drink, full of alcohol before they go on, and I'm looking at them going like, you can't possibly, there's no way that you can possibly give your best performance. You may well think you're giving your best performance, but I'd definitely tell you, if you recorded yourself and listened to it back tomorrow when you're sober, you would have a whole different attitude on that. So we don't drink at all before we go on stage. I mean, we have a drink when we come off stage, we're only human, but we call it the drink driving rule. If you're sober, you should be on that stage, you should be sober enough to drive the van home. That's just the way it is. And if you're not like that, you're taking a lot of people for granted. So, you're only as good as your last gig. And I certainly never ever would be so remiss as to think that I'm going to go in there every single night and I'm just going to kill it. Stone Dead is going to be amazing. I always go on thinking, play your best, Willie, and make sure whatever you're doing is presented the best way.
Yeah. And how do you decide what songs you're going to play in the shows and on albums as well?
So that's a good question again. What you need to make sure is, because we're all qualified musicians, most of the guys in the band have got degrees in music. They're all conservatoire trained in Glasgow or the Strathclyde University Applied Music degree. They're all fantastic. Not only can they play their own instruments, but you could probably, in our band, you could swap everybody round. Everybody take one step to the left and pick up that instrument and play it as well. And give us a couple of hours and we'd have a pretty decent sound going with that. So you have to avoid bagpipe karaoke. The bagpipe karaoke is the easiest thing in the world because you only have 8 notes. And you can batter out as many tunes as you want. People say to me all the time, can you play this, can you play that? And I say, yeah, I probably could, no problem. But why would you? Because it wouldn't sound good, it wouldn't sound right. So you'd go through 100 tunes, and other bands have tried it. Other bands have tried to remake the success of the Red Hot Chili Pipers, thinking it's just bagpipe karaoke. The trick is called a musical segue. So you would have traditional music, well-played traditional music, and then all of a sudden 8 bars of that. You play 4 bars or 8 bars or something, and the crowd go, did I just hear We Will Rock You there? And then before the brain has decided, I did hear We Will Rock You by Queen, you're onto something new. So it keeps everybody's brain alive and refreshed. And another thing is always the key change is key. Make sure you're doing key changes. Make sure you're keeping the show flowing, and make sure you're making the show exciting, and it's never ever dull. And you can use all these different musical techniques to do that. But we always avoid karaoke bagpipes because that would have no merit at all. I wouldn't be able to get him to play in my band either, especially musicians of that pedigree. They would come on and go, I'm not playing that. So there's very, very little tunes, cover tunes that we play from start to finish. And also there is only 2 actually, and the rest of it is just clever music. And don't forget as well, we have the vocalist. The vocalist we have is the best vocalist in Scotland. He's actually Chris Judge, and he's Susan Boyle's voice coach. He voice coaches Susan Boyle, so you can just imagine how this guy can sing. And he's got 3 octaves as well. So, I mean, his range is incredible. So the whole thing is put together musically. It's taken us a long, long time, and there's a lot of musical expertise in the band, and it's not karaoke bagpipes. I have to make that very clear. I do that in all interviews.
And looking at some dates here, it all starts tonight in Nottingham at the Albert Hall, then on to Scunthorpe, Manchester, Hastings, London, Southend on Sea, Aldershot, Harrogate, Peterborough, New Brighton, Telford, Cheltenham, Bath, Barrow, Buxton, and then finishing on Sunday the 5th of June in Blackpool. And tickets are still available for a lot of these, right?
Tickets are still available. I think something like 4% sold out. Some of the, I think London sold out. Just found that out this morning.
Yeah.
There's a couple of other ones are sold out, but the tickets are going really well. Don't forget the tickets have been reissued from 2020 or 2019 from before the pandemic. So if you want to get tickets, be fast. Is my call.
And what else is coming up? Will there be more tours and albums after this one?
Yeah, so we've just done. We finished. We've done the Scottish tour, and on that tour we recorded a live album. So that gets released the week after next. We'll be on tour in England when that one comes out, and then obviously we're back into festival season. Thank goodness, because we haven't done that. The summer season festivals are really good. We've got festivals all over Europe, keeping us going. We're doing the Basel Tattoo again this year. We're over to Washington to do the Washington Tattoo, and then we're doing all the American big Irish festivals, Iowa Irish Fest, Milwaukee Irish Fest. We're back over to America, I think, in June, and we're out there again for another month, and then back here. And then we've got Germany to do. We've got 2 months in Germany, and then we're back in Scotland to do the Scottish tour in December. So this is the busiest the band has been, because not only do we need to cover the 2020, and every band will be the same. We've had to cover the 2022 gigs, plus the 2021 festivals, plus the 2020 tours that we should have done. So we're 3 times as busy as we should have been. But I'm not complaining. I'm just really lucky that I can still go out there waggle my fingers and people give me money.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to be so busy, and hopefully you'll get a nice rest at the end of it.
Oh, well, hopefully hopefully at the end,
Yeah. Well, many thanks for joining us today. It's been great to have you on.
Thanks, Toby.